to your point, yeah, some Thompson submachine guns shipped to your house. If you start doing dumb stuff with it, it would be handled. And it would be handled by your community, and they would put you in the dirt, and no one would write an obituary for you. You would not show up in the paper. So, Dicken, like we were just talking about this.
Yeah. So this kid,
40 yards.
Yeah, 40 yards.
15 seconds. 80% hit rate. So 8 rounds hit out of 10. Put the dude on the ground.
So just for context, guys, we're talking about the Greenwood Park mall shooter. Well, I guess, the Greenwood Park rescuer happened back on the 17th. So
rescuer, savior.
Yeah. We're a little late getting to the game on this, but some things have happened, especially in the media.
But I'm still excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. We're still excited. We're still gonna talk about this a little bit because
I love a good I love a good win. We need more wins in this community.
It's another episode of Good Guy with Gun stops Bad Guy with Gun. Imagine that.
It's to great effect.
And hey, Uvalde police officers. This is a case of a pistol taking out a rifle. All your freaking cops standing outside that classroom with pistols and ARs, and you wouldn't even go in to stop one guy with an AR.
Oh, or shields, or
right.
Any other of the multiple or the multitude of tools that you have at your disposal.
Not to mention,
it's embarrassing.
The overwhelming numbers. Like you could have just walked in there, and one of you would have eventually killed that guy.
But like, what's doctrine for Battle Drill 6 or not Battle Drill 6? Just in engagements, 3-1, right?
Yeah.
Not 300 to 1.
Well, at least
Or did my math go off? Like, there's no. If you so weeks after the fact, right? We have all these reports, literally hundreds of officers chilling.
Well, I mean.
Like, there's no excuse.
We're a little off topic,
but
for that. There was also the report that came out that was confirmed that an officer had a shot on him before he even got into the building and was not cleared to fire. Why that guy just didn't say, you know what, screw this, and shot him anyway, I don't know.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah. Red tape.
Always. Bureaucracy ruins everything.
Bureaucracy gets people
everything
killed.
It touches. Yeah. But love that it invalidates the, the carrying argument, what are you going to do against a rifle, or, if he's, not close to you or anything.
You do what this kid did, stabilize your weapon on a post and put 8 shots on target in 15 seconds.
I don't care what he stabilized on. The dude was still rocking a hammer.
Right.
Like, it's a different monster than just, C-clamping, a wall with a rifle, stabilizing off a wall or a barrier with a rifle. It's completely different. I mean, the guy obviously trains. And what I love about this is, one, obviously put the dude in the dirt, stopped who knows how many people from dying, who knows the amount of people this guy saved, right?
Oh, yeah.
Good for him. The guy's obviously a hero, right? But he also single-handedly embarrassed a good 80-90% of our community.
Oh, God, yes. All these people who keep calling about, oh, well, he carried in a gun-free zone. We need to follow the law. No.
Has anyone verified how far the shot was?
Yeah. Tony Cowden.
Completely embarrassed.
God.
Completely embarrassed 89% of the community. I love it. Because there's no excuse now.
Yeah, hang on.
Like, and, people aren't talking about I think it was like the spouse or girlfriend, who was with Dicken. Like, that situational awareness and that call out was amazing. Hey, that guy has a long gun from at least 40 yards away. Like, just the communication, the training that they both obviously, put into their daily lives is really cool to see.
Right.
Because whoever was with him, spouse, girlfriend, I don't recall, hey, that guy's a long gun from across the mall, and Jake immediately going into action and, fire on this guy, and with righteous marksmanship and put him in the dirt.
Right.
Like, it's just awesome. And, I think people are like running, they call it the Dicken drill, right? 40 yards, 10 shots, 15 seconds.
Yeah. And, speaking of this Tony Cowden, like, I backed him for a little too long, when he went toe to toe with, Lucas Botkin, all that crap about how, well, can he do a pull up or whatever he said, like making fun of his physical fitness. I'm like, this dude weighs like 80 pounds. Of course he can do a pull up. Of course he can pull himself up with all that gear on. But still, have you watched his videos? The dude runs in like full gear with nods on and still puts rounds on target. That's better than almost everyone out there. Like,
yeah. And, I don't care about the drama, and that should be the whole point. So, I'm so tired of this veteran archetype.
Yeah.
I'm constantly angry and disgruntled all the time. Look at my record, look at all my credentials and my experience. I am the authority on this, and anyone else is a poser and idiot. Dakota Meyer, Tony Cowden, Tim Kennedy. I mean, whoever else, right? God. It doesn't matter. I don't actually care, because the drama doesn't matter. At the end of the day, none of it matters.
Right.
Because you need to be able to protect your family. You need to be able to protect your neighbor's community, yourself. All right. That's what actually matters. Like, the fame, the poll, the likes, comments, whatever, it doesn't matter. If, I love the direction that Grantham's going with, hey, none of this matters if you don't get training.
Yeah.
Because it's true. Same thing Lucas Botkin says. The drama doesn't matter. And if you're in a position where you have like that much influence over, the young population, or any population for that matter, like, you need to be above this stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, you need to be better than that.
And like, I get that Cowden and Botkin kind of buried the hatchet or whatnot, or at least they moved on. But then here, Cowden comes back. A post 3 days ago. Okay, I'll ask it. Has the 40 yards part of Dickens putting that lump of shit down been verified by any legitimate source? You mean like the witnesses that were there, or the cops that responded, or the fact that they found the shell casings on the ground and the dude laying way over there? Like,
well, and who cares about the distance?
Right. Who cares?
Like, you should be giving the dude an attaboy. Like, you put him in the dirt.
Right.
Like, I don't care how far away he was. Like, the fact that he was 4 yards away is only another accolade. Good for him.
Right. And it's
like I said earlier, he went ahead and embarrassed, good 80% of the community. Yeah. Guys who were still shooting at 7 yards on a flat range. Yeah. Like,
and then of course, a day after that, Cowden comes back and does like a little demonstration. It's like, oh, apparently I made people mad. Like, here's how I do it, And it's just like,
it's a really good, what am I trying to say? It's a really good metaphor for just the community. How instead of like, you have this prime example of what we're trying to emulate and what we should be celebrating, and people are finding just any way to make it about themselves, or to tear other people down, or to divide the community further. That's not what we need.
Right. And it's
like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you should be saying, hey, look at this guy. Get good training. Like, pick up your handgun every once in a while and dry fire.
Right.
Like, you need to be able to do this. Here is a real life example of proving you need to be able to shoot past 10 yards. And, your primary scope should be, getting you and your family away. But if you are in the position to save lives, save lives. And that guy Dicken, he trained enough, he was comfortable enough with his weapon system in order to engage a threat 40 yards away, keeping in mind, right, gun safety, knowing what is, around and beyond his target, and not having any additional casualties from his fault. He shot what he intended to shoot.
Yeah.
And that was the threat. Yeah. That's it. No casualties. No worries.
Yeah. I mean, and apparently he had like a red dot on it, which is great, That it definitely helps with your ability to engage a target, especially at that range. But then what do you know? On his little follow-up post, Tony Cowden's like, also, if you use a red dot, it means you're more likely to contract monkeypox. What the dude? Like, what the hell?
It's just drama. And, like, that's the whole thing. People keep talking about, an event or, I'm not going to say boo, but, I mean, like, after, crap hits the fan, right? The IG likes, social media, nothing's going to matter after that. So why are you pushing the drama?
Right.
It makes no sense. If you're in a position like Tony Cowan or Tim Kennedy or whoever with this following, with this experience that you can be putting off to people, where you could be building people up and, getting people, raising that standard of where we need to be. Like, why are you doing anything else?
Right. Why are you even...
It's disappointing.
Why are you tearing down a segment of the community when you're supposed to be a 2A advocate? Why are you tearing down a segment of the community that prefers to use red dots? I mean, I've got a red dot on my Grendel, like on a 45. Why? Because I want to be able to engage targets at a certain distance without having to use my long optic.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, and I agree, you should be able to use your irons, right? That's more of a weapons familiarization standpoint, right? But if you can have something that anymore, red dots are pretty bulletproof depending on what you get. You don't have to worry about it. If you get something to make you better, why not?
And
as long as you train with it, your skill, your equipment is never going to outweigh your skill set, ever.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
Like, if you could give someone a $10,000 AR, and if they've never shot an AR in their life, like, they're still going to be won out by someone who has Anderson Arms who shoots it every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just the training, the skill set matters more than the equipment every day.
And I mean,
every single day. That's why we got our butts handed to us for, 20 years by a bunch of farmers.
Right. Oh God, don't even remind me.
Funny enough.
But yeah, that's why we harp on this kind of stuff. Training matters. And this kid obviously had some training, not as much as Tony Cowden. I mean, Tony Cowden goes out there and shoots pretty much all the time. Dude's a Green Beret, whatever. And I look at this post and he's like, oh yeah, I shot with irons and I only hit 6 of 9 shots with a stock Glock 43. I'm like, okay, cool. So you shot 66%-ish? Like 60% with a stock Glock 43, and this kid who has decades less training than you do with a pistol with a red dot hit 80% from 40 yards. So you're telling me he's better than you? He's better than you, or the red dot helps. So my advice to Tony would be throw a red dot on your weapon and go shoot that again. Plus, this kid did it under pressure with lives on the line, and you're doing this in the heat of the day. Don't be Tony.
Exactly. I'm tired of making it about other people because it's about Dicken.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
The dude stepped up. The dude did his job, and he saved untold amount of lives. Who knows? And something else. We're talking about this. We're obviously really excited and passionate about this, but that's gonna haunt him and his family for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Like, that is going to be, he's never going to look at the world the same, and that part breaks my heart, just that he and his family had to go through that, but still, good on him.
Honestly, great job by this kid. And the police, I think it was the mayor, they all did the right thing. Instead of tearing this kid down, oh, he shouldn't have been carrying in a quote-unquote gun-free zone, they honored him. So Senator Todd Young even submitted a congressional honor for this kid. Everybody's been doing the right thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's everybody's done the right thing. From the police to the mayor to the senator. They're all doing the right thing. They're honoring the savior, essentially. They're honoring Dicken for saving so many lives, because who knows how many more the freaking dirt napper could have freaking gotten,
Yeah, I mean, and he delayed he essentially delayed HR 1808 for a little while, which is subsequently passed the House.
Which is ridiculous. That should definitely go down in the Senate. I can't believe that passed. Well, I mean, they had to change the rules to get it to pass.
Well, exactly, but
go figure. The Democrats cheating to win.
But this should be the prime example for everyone that it doesn't matter what Congress says. It doesn't matter where the police are. It's on you at the end of the day. It's on you to be your own first responder. It's on you to protect you and your family. And there's no really good reason for you to let legislation get in the way of you doing that.
Right. And honestly, if you see a gun-free zone, like, the only way for people to find out is if you tell them. Just throwing it out there. So,
and the thing with, gun-free zones and gun laws is, did the shooter care?
Nope.
No. Shooter went out ready to, kill a whole bunch of people. Didn't care about the laws. Funny enough.
But
the other guy who didn't care about the law saved all of those people.
Right. And what's the difference?
It's about what you do.
Yeah. The gunman who, I'm going to refuse to name because it's stuff like that don't deserve any
I never even heard it. I don't even care.
Yeah. Started with an S. I don't care. But anyway, the gunman went in there to literally murder people, to literally take lives. And he did. Apparently, I think he killed 4 people, injured a few.
I don't remember. I know it was at least 3 people dead.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the full stats on that.
But regardless, people seem to gloss over the fact that these shooters, like, okay, yeah, they're killing people, but they're ignoring laws. Like, literally, they're ignoring gun laws. They're ignoring laws that say, oh, hey, you can't murder, don't murder people. Don't be.
Well, and the thing is, use a little bit of critical thinking here, right? So the Uvalde shooting. All right, so the shooter, do you really think the shooter expected to get out of there alive?
No.
He had no exit strategy. He took no hostages. That wasn't his intention, was to get out alive. His intention was to kill as many people as possible.
Right. Because if you're intending to get out alive,
you're faced with,
you're gonna have a way out.
A plan in place. Right. So if you don't do that, if that's the enemy, if that's the force that we're fighting against, then you need to consider that.
Yeah.
If they aren't expecting to get out, why would they care about any law?
Well, it's just,
they don't.
It's the same thing that.
So the only thing that laws are limiting are the people.
Right. And it's the same crap that we had to deal with in Iraq and Afghanistan with these suicide gunmen and suicide bombers. They're not intended to get alive. They're just there to cause as much bloodshed as possible. They're trying to kill as many people as possible before they die. They don't care if they die. They just care about taking at least one life.
Yeah. And when you're facing against that, you need to end the threat. That's it. That is the only option.
And
with all those hundreds of police officers at Uvalde, did they go and arrest the dude? No. They shot him dead, which was the shooter's intention.
Right. But,
right?
They also...
But a little bit of critical thinking here. So why in the world would you listen to a piece of paper or a sign on a building if it meant your family's life?
I tell you what, man.
Why in the world would you do that?
I tell you what, if I end up with a daughter, the first thing I'm going to tell her is, we're going to get you a gun because a restraining order is only a piece of paper.
Guys too. Anything. It doesn't matter.
The gun is the great equalizer. I just saw a post coming out of New York where 2 young men, I don't know if they were teenagers or if they were in their 20s or whatever, but they were beating the crap out of this elderly policeman, just wailing on him, and his equipment's going flying, and they're backing him towards a door, and then all of a sudden one takes off running and the other one's just calmly walking away as quickly as possible because the policeman had pulled out his Glock and had started aiming it at him. So that dude just stopped what he was doing and walked away. I mean, if you're in a 2-on-1 situation, I want to have a Glock or any firearm, If I can get to that firearm, I don't care. Like, somebody's getting dropped.
Yeah.
If you run away, okay, cool. You live to fight another day. But if you're just...
But isn't that such a great example? Isn't that such great imagery of everyone knows? Like, when you pull out a firearm, everybody knows what that is. Everybody understands the ramifications of that. And most of the time, they don't want to play anymore.
Right. They take their ball and they go home.
Yeah. So, I mean, good on Dicken.
Absolutely. Man. Absolutely.
He did good.
Yeah.
He did good. And his family's alive.
His family's alive. Many other are alive.
At the end of the day, yeah, many other people are alive. At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Right.
Law doesn't matter. Did the law save all those people? No. Did the gun-free zone save the 3 people that dude killed? No. Another guy with a gun did. A guy who was ready, willing, and able to do the right thing. That's what saved those people.
Yep. And here's some data for you.
Any other argument does not matter.
And I mean, here's some data too. CNN saying, well, take that with a grain of salt. CNN is saying that it's rare to have an armed bystander attack an active shooter. This is according to data from the Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training at Texas State University. There were 434 active shooter attacks in the U.S. from 2000 to 2021. Active shooter attacks, they're defining as one or more shooters killed or attempted to kill multiple unrelated people in a populated place. So of those 434, an armed bystander shot the attacker in 22 of those. In 10 of those, the good guy was a security guard or an off-duty police officer. So, hey, 12 people intervened otherwise that were not police officers or security guards. Mm-hmm. So that's great. That number needs to go way up. Way up.
Way up. Mm-hmm. Imagine if 1 out of 10 people carried.
Oh, God.
Imagine the ludicrous statistics we'd come out with.
Oh, I know.
With that. Know. Do you think that, do you think the CIA or FBI would be, radicalizing as many people?
No.
to commit these atrocities? Nope. Because if I had to think, oh man, if I go to the shopping mall with a rifle, man, there's probably gonna be somebody with a gun there. That's not gonna feel really good. Like, you're gonna have pause.
So, I mean, how does that saying go? An armed society is a polite society.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, remember when we would go into academy with pistols on our hips? I don't think I've gotten more, hey, how you doing, in my life from people that were not employees.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing says, hey, how you doing, like a 45 on your hip.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I never wore it on my hip because I don't like open carrying. But
yeah,
yes.
You appendix carrying.
You can find me on. I'm faster than you. But why isn't that the norm? Like, imagine if we could get back to where we had men and women willing to go that extra step and protect their families and the people around them. I mean, to get the training, to actually take that responsibility and carry. I mean, it'd be a different world, and that's what we're trying to get to. But I can't wait, man. I love the direction we're going because we're seeing more of this, and people are celebrating this more.
Where did we go wrong? Like, remember all the tales that...
Where did we go?
Like, remember all the tales from, like, the 20s and 30s? Where nobody did this kind of stuff?
People stopped relying on themselves. People stopped having that personal responsibility. Government stepped in. Hey, I'll handle this for you. Don't worry about it. Like, and for whatever reason, the people were like, oh, honestly, this was kind of hard. Sure, take it.
It's stupid too.
Like, that's where we went wrong. So think about what's happening now. People are fleeing the cities to go out and live a harder life in the country. Where did we start? We started off with a hard life in the country. People are like, oh man, this is pretty hard. We need to flock to these cities where we can, have a guaranteed wage or whatever. No. So, I mean, where we went wrong, people people stopped working for it. People stopped working for it. Yep. As that is to say, when life was harder, when we took more responsibility for ourselves and our families, you didn't see this kind of stuff because people were invested in it. If you offload that responsibility for a job, for housing, for protection, you get what you deserve. You get what you pay for, right?
Well, think about this too. So we didn't have the technological advances back then that we did now, and back then you could get Thompson submachine guns shipped directly to your house from Sears. Why didn't we have more mass shootings? You could
get a house from Sears.
Yeah.
Do-it-yourself house, literally on freight line to your doorstep.
Regardless, to my point, why didn't we have more mass shootings back then? You could literally get a gun shipped to your house without the federal government getting involved. We didn't have the radios. We didn't have the police response times. We didn't have people...
Because people would handle it. Because people would handle it.
Or maybe because society or maybe society wasn't as messed up back then as it is now. We have more mental health problems now than we did back then.
But when you and me were kids, you remember going to school and there being shotguns in the back window of all those F-250s. Yes. That's how we grew up, and we didn't see as much back then. But to your point, some Thompson submachine guns shipped to your house. If you start doing dumb stuff with it, it would be handled, and it would be handled by your community. And they would put you in the dirt, and no one would write an obituary for you. You would not show up in the paper.
And yet,
in the collective mind, you would cease to exist.
And
now and that's called a deterrent.
And yet now we have media sources just glorifying these shooters.
You have the families of active shooters suing people for protecting themselves. Or suing police officers for, protecting the public.
Or police officers throwing people in jail for protecting themselves.
Yeah. Dude, think about if, there's, some mass shooting or some, school mall shooting, whatever. And then 3 people, boom, 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 put them in the dirt. And then you didn't hear about it in the news.
It's a sad...
You didn't have a trial. You didn't have, all this evisceration by the media. There was no outcry. It was, oh, good for them. They got their reps in today.
Yeah.
It'd be a completely different society.
Yes.
We'd be a lot safer, too.
Yeah. It's a sad, sad day when people have to stop when something like this is going on and thinking, am I going to go to jail for this?
Yeah. Why in the world do we need carry insurance, man? What kind of world do we live in?
It's terrible.
I can't tell you how many I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with, my dad or my father-in-law, about me carrying. And they're like, oh, well, you have to be really careful. And I'm like, yeah, I know I am. I'm currently being careful right now. But they're like, oh no, well, you could, if you fire that, then you could go to jail. And it's if that gives you pause, that's a real issue, man. I shouldn't have to worry about going to jail for protecting my family.
Your first call after getting into something like that should not be your lawyer. It shouldn't have to be your lawyer.
My gosh, man, it's insane. Your first call should be to your family. Hey, we're okay. And then end of discussion. Mm-hmm. That's done. You make your quick statement to the police, off you go. It shouldn't be, oh, hey, if this happens, then we, you have this, and this bank account. We need to, I need to call my lawyer. It's insane. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely insane. But even with all that, I carry every day. I carry everywhere because regardless of, the circumstances after the fact, that's my responsibility and that's my job.
Yes. And I know we've harped on that a lot during previous episodes of just hey, this is your responsibility. Mm-hmm. Well, this is why it's your responsibility. It's situations like this. You're protecting your family. This dude was protecting his family, and he protected so many others as a result. And
yeah, I mean, it's a prime example of our ethos, of our guiding principles, right? We have experience. We have strength. We can protect. So it is our job to do so. It is our duty to do so for our families, because of our faith, for our neighbors, our communities, for each other. Like it permeates into everything that we do. And this is a perfect example of why.
Exactly. And this is why we tell you to go train. This is why we tell you.
They showcase situational awareness. They showcase violence of action, marksmanship, follow through,
communication.
Yeah, communication. Excellent.
Yeah. This was
movement. I can't confirm, but I heard that he actually moved up on the threat after engaging that first time.
Threat. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have anything else to say about it. Dude did a good job.
Absolutely. Good on you.
Attaboy.
Good on you.
Good on you.
Where was he at?
I think we're good on that, brother.
But I mean, at the end, like, as much as we want to honor the shooter, the Good Samaritan, the one that put down this piece of the one that put down this piece of crap, we should probably also honor like the victims. So Pedro Pineda, Rosa Rivera Pineda, Victor Gomez were all shot during this
for nothing.
For nothing. They're
useless.
Their families have just I don't think these are the ones that died, but still, I mean, even if they were,
But no one should have to go through that.
Right.
The victims shouldn't have to go through that. Dicken and his family shouldn't have to go through that. And it breaks my heart,
Nobody
man.
It
breaks my heart because they shouldn't have to go through that. And screw that guy for picking up that rifle wherever he got it and deciding to do evil stuff with it.
And by wherever he got it, you mean the three-letter alphabet.
I said what I said.
Looks oddly familiar, including the attachments to a certain recent shooting. Like, it looks exactly the same.
Once again, I just, yay for tinfoil caps, but where the hell are these kids picking up just, naked Daniel defenses?
Right.
Like, dude, even with nothing on it, that's expensive. Like, and, we talked about this before, but, people who are, in the mindset of, oh, I'm going to go out and, do this thing, normally that translates to them being more well prepared.
Yeah.
Like, example being, think of Killdozer.
Yeah. Love that movie. Love the guy that did
dude,
it.
Dude up armored that tractor, right? Like, very, very well, to great effect. So if you're going to do this thing and like this is your mindset and your goal, you prepare better for that. And so it's just kind of sketchy when you have multiple people in a pretty condensed time frame show up with the same style of rifle, and that rifle is not like purpose built. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like, what was the rifle they
used?
It's
not.
Was it a Daniel Defense?
It was literally just
M4 V7 or something.
I think so, but I mean, it was naked, it had irons, and I think maybe a foregrip. That was it. Like, it was just
no. I think it had
plain Jane.
It had a red dot, didn't it?
I don't know. I don't think it did, man. I think it just had the irons.
So regardless, this young kid who probably doesn't have the best job goes out and buys a Daniel Defense, which, if you look on their website, it's $1,900 for this. Where do you get the money for that? Not to mention the fact that he put the optic on it and bought the ammunition. Plus, he had, from reports, he had over 100 rounds of ammunition on him, which isn't that much.
That isn't hardly
that's like
anything. That's 3.5 mags.
Yeah. Plus a handgun, but he only used the AR. Well, I mean, he only got the chance to use the AR before Dickens dropped him like a freaking sack of potatoes, which is awesome. Like 8 hits at 40 yards at 15 seconds. That's obscene. Like, even if it wasn't 40 yards, but 8 hits in 15 seconds during a high-pressure
No, the
situation,
dude's monstrous.
that is amazing.
No, the dude's monstrous. Like think of marksmanship, any small, miss small, right?
Yeah.
Going from 7 yards, which were about 7-10 yards where most people shoot, up to 40. That's a
stretch.
That's a gut check. That's a gut check for a lot of people.
Almost no one trains out that far. So the fact that he did that was amazing.
But to put 10 right there, like it's impressive.
Right. Yeah.
And from cold, from nothing, from I'm going out to the mall with my family to putting a dude in the dirt. That was a good shot, man. Good for him.
The gunman tried to like hide behind one of those little advertising things. That you see at the mall that are like bat pit, but like he hid behind it and the dude just still dropped him. Like he staggered him. He put he was spurting blood everywhere. Big difference
between cover and concealment.
Slipped on his own blood and fell down trying to run back into the bathroom and died exactly as he should have. Mm-hmm. Honestly, and you can bleep this out. That dude, that good and good. He's dead.
I don't feel bad about that at all. Because, I go round and round with some people. Not round and round. I don't get arguments or anything, but people, question about like my mindset with that. I don't feel any remorse for this guy. No. Because the thing is, you and me going to the mall, that's not our thought. Like, that's not our thought process. We're not going out to go and harm people. You know what I mean? Like, we carry, rifles and handguns and all of our equipment to protect people.
Yep.
So if you go out where I'm trying to have a good time with my family and you're like, man, I'm going to do today, I'm going to kill a bunch of people. Screw you.
Yes.
Screw you. And I'm going to put you in the dirt or I'm going to die trying because that's my job. And if I fail, I hope someone else succeeds because screw you for doing that.
I'm glad Dickens was the other person.
That's not a normal. Yeah. That's not a normal thought process. These guys are sick in the head and, good because for me, for your family, for any other family out there, I don't wish that on them. And screw that guy for wanting to end all those lives. He doesn't know who they are. He doesn't know what they do. He doesn't know what kind of impact they have in their family or their communities. He doesn't know the love that they share. Screw you for ending that for no reason at all. I can't find sympathy for that.
It's funny too. Apparently now when we go out to the mall or the movie theater or whatever, we need to be looking for like these little young 80-pound soy boys looking a little suspicious. Because if you notice that, like the last 5 shooters have been like super thin, wiry, pasty looking like kids, essentially.
You mean the bullied, depressed, minority kids? Yeah. They're very easily radicalized in 4chan or any other, chat room.
By 3-letter alphabet people.
Kind of interesting that we should be looking out for the, very exposed and malleable community. Mm-hmm. And someone should do a study on this.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I mean, we should consider this a study. But
I just want to point out that, like, the FBI's records are just, like, on their website. Like, you can just look them up, and they're there.
Dude, I'm waiting for it to come out. It's gonna be there, and we're gonna hear those words. The gunman was on our radar.
Mm-hmm. It's always there. It's always there. I mean, think about the what was it, Georgia? Like the governor being kidnapped like all these different little operations, and it's like, oh yeah, we had informants there. Oh, this was an FBI stunt. I mean,
the government is either really bad at their jobs or they are really good at deceiving the public.
I mean, you know which one it is.
Do we though?
You can't explain away like just what's been happening like the last 5 years. Forget about all the other ridiculous examples, right? But just think about the last 5 years. And so many other people were like, "Hey, what was that?
It's amazing more
like,
people
what the hell's going on? Like, you can't, like, and I don't believe in coincidences, right? And it would have to be an insane coincidence or just dumb luck for all this to happen, like, without, you know, like, on accident. Like, or someone to be so bad at their jobs and yet continue to succeed one after another after another. I don't buy it.
I don't either. I don't. And just for the fact that all these gunmen, like, quite literally almost every single mass shooting that's happened this year, last year, radar. The gunman was on the FBI's radar. And what did they do? Mm-hmm. They armed him to the teeth. I mean, they did nothing.
Well, and, you know, do you remember the riots?
Yeah.
Like, you remember when, you know, there were reports on, like, just pallets of bricks, like, just being laid out along,
right,
you know, the rioters' routes.
Things that make you go,
and well, and, like, no one followed up on it. They're just like, why is there a giant pile of bricks here?
Right.
Or, like the January 6th, you know, Capitol Party, where the guards are just like, oh, you guys want in? Right. You just walk that way, hook a left around so if you hit the water fountain, you've gone too far. Like, no one's going to follow up on that. No one thinks that's weird. It's too stupid.
I don't know, man. Like, January 6th is another monster.
Another monster entirely. Yeah. But you know what? Don't put yourself in weird situations. Carry everywhere you go. You know, vet your people.
Oh God, yeah. Because
more often than not, you'll be all right.
all these gatherings of, you know, supposed, like, rioters or unrest or whatever, and it's like it's supposed to be a bunch of, like, supposed white people, like, you know, KKK, Nazis, whatever, doing all this stuff, and then you go through and you start looking around, and you're just like, that dude's FBI, 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 that dude's FBI. Like,
I'm gonna throw out a quick spoiler. They all have the same haircut, guys.
Yep. They all wear those military style watches. They all have the same haircuts.
If you're looking for any 3-layer agency or military or formal military, they don't have hair touching their ears. Well, more often than not, they're wearing Oakleys. They're wearing a polo or other type shirt. Their appearance is neat and kept, well appearing, and they walk with a straight back.
And
their posture is better than yours.
And if they are continuously analyzing the area around them.
Well, if you wanna know how a military member or former military member walks, they walk through.
Yep.
They walk through things. That's the one thing that my wife just told me, is that when I walk, she can tell how I walk because I walk through things. My chest is out. I'm going forward. That's just, it's a thing. It's just a thing. So, yeah, look for any of the guys that are just pretty much exactly the same, except for, you know, maybe a different color scheme. And you'll wonder also, if you're hanging out with all your buddies and you're like, oh man, we should go to this protest. And then one of your buddies is like, hey, we should burn this mother down. I have news for you.
He ain't your buddy.
and it's not good news for you.
Your buddy's an FBI agent.
Or if you're texting somebody and they're just like, hey man, you ever wanted to just let loose a little bit, shoot up a mall? That's probably a red flag.
Yeah. Block and unfriend.
Unfriend, block, delete all your social media, and go on a vacation for a while.
Do I unsubscribe from this person. Jesus.
Help. I think I'm trying to get radicalized.
I mean, there's a reason why so many people join the Scientologists. There's a reason why so many of these kids have basically been exposed as to being...
Let's not talk about Bohemian Grove. I really don't want to talk about that.
We're not going to, but there's a reason why so many of these kids are being exposed as having been in contact with FBI agents, FBI and CIA agents who have then groomed them to become shooters. Like, my tinfoil hat is not on. Like, this is fact. This has been hitting the media. There's a reason why some of this stuff is happening. It's the James Bond theory. Like, these kids are so susceptible to influence.
Yeah.
That...
Well, and why are we seeing that so much more now? You asked me that earlier in the episode. all right, what's happening to the nuclear family? Like, forget about, just like, we can talk about not having a father figure all day, but, if you have if you have a nuclear family where, you have a divorce, so mom and dad aren't in the picture anymore, you don't get the full picture of who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And how you're supposed to act.
Yeah.
Like that is gone. And that opens up the door for so much nonsense.
Well,
all right, if you don't have a father figure, how are you supposed to learn how to protect, how to nurture? How are you supposed to hold those hand in hand when you haven't seen it done before? As a man, you and I should be able to go put down some dick in a mall and then go home and deliver a calf, or, help mama, like bottle feed a baby or change a diaper. You need to be able to do all these things. If you can't, if you don't see that when you're growing up, how can we expect you to do that?
Yeah. I mean,
and it's so much easier to, for people to go in and say, oh, you're angry, I can work with that.
How far back do we have to go to find the right style of parenting? Because the kids today, the stuff that's going wrong can be attributed to how things were done with their parents. And it was shifted then because of how they felt they were treated by their parents before them. How far back do we have to go to find the right style of parenting? And I'm not saying it's the right style, but I'm saying we didn't have mass shootings back in 1940.
Yeah, and we can get as far into weeds as we want. I'm a Christian. I believe that, there's sin in everybody. We live in a sinful, fallen world. We're not going to find perfect here. There is no perfect, right? But if you're talking about just, like the, a good traditional, family where this stuff didn't happen, something we don't really talk about is discipline. Like I'm a pediatric nurse, and I get all kinds of people coming into my clinic every day. And, I can tell you who, disciplines their kids and who doesn't.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's a direct correlation, right? And people have forgotten that. I don't know when we lost it, man. Like, I don't know how far back to look, but when you look back on families that worked together, that played together, who had set boundaries, both for parents and for children, and those standards were enforced with discipline that wasn't disciplined out of anger, that wasn't spiteful, that, things were a lot different. All right, got a little bit of a wild hair there, but I mean, this all rolls together, right? And it kind of rolls into the whole point of this project. It's not just fighting, it's not just soldiering. We talk a lot about soldiering because that's our background. We want to get into more skill sharing, more into like the homesteading, gardening, all those kinds of skill sets. But the whole point of it is trying to get to a point to where everyone comes back to where you are responsible for yourself, right? Taking care of your land, taking care of your food, growing your own food, taking care of animals, being able to protect all of that, building those communities so that you don't have to rely on the government anymore, because I think that's where the problems lie. When the government gets big, we see problems. Shocker. If you don't have to rely on the government for a supply line, for food, for electricity, for water, think about if instead of having to, pay property taxes or pay your water bill or electricity bill, if you had a well, you had solar power, wind power, hydropower, thermal batteries, whatever. Think about if that wasn't a worry for you, if the grid went down, if you didn't have to worry about that.
Well, yeah.
Or you didn't have to worry about people like allocating your resources without asking you. I mean,
and that's kind of what we're starting to get into too, is like now we've got bigger organizations talking about how, people shouldn't own cars. We should be borrowing our cars. Like, What what are we talking about here? We're slowly sliding towards communism here, where the government gives us what we're supposed to have. Like, is this not raising a red flag with anybody else?
Well, that's the thing, man. Like, if you or me pay off our house, like, that's not free and clear. Mm-hmm. Like, we still pay property taxes. Yep. How does that work?
Yep.
If I own my own land, free and clear, why do I still have to pay the government for that?
This is the same government that stole that land, so that they could then lease it. Because let's be honest, doesn't matter if you own your home, you're still leasing this land from the federal government.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If I own 200-300 acres, and then the government wants to run a highway right through the North Pasture,
a domain,
they can do that.
They'll take it.
They can be like, "Oh, hey man, sorry about it. Here's some money that doesn't equate to what it used to a couple hundred years ago."
It's not even that. It's like it doesn't. It's not even a measure of
they can
what
literally
it is worth or what it was worth. They'll pay you pennies,
but they took it,
and they'll just take it.
Yeah.
They'll either pay you pennies or they'll pay you nothing at all, and they'll take it.
Eminent domain. Doesn't matter if it's quote unquote your land or not. Like, how is, everyone wants to be a law-abiding citizen in a good and just country, right? So would a good and just government do that? No. You don't take things that aren't yours unless you're the government. And then it's magically okay.
And again, I'm not trying to put a tinfoil hat on. Tinfoil hats off. Governments are inherently corrupt and evil because they are run by men and women who just are in it for themselves. They're in it for power.
Yeah.
And as it stands, the people you want in leadership are the people that don't want to be in leadership. They don't want to be there. They don't want to be president. Like, I think Joe Rogan had this exact same conversation with somebody at one point, was like, you don't want somebody to be president who wants to be president, who's like, oh yeah, I deserve to be president. No. You want somebody to be president who doesn't want the job, but they take it anyway because they feel like they can do some good, or it's their duty to do some good. These people essentially every single president we've had since the founding fathers has been a corrupt bureaucrat who's wanted the job and wanted the power. And that's where we're at. Like, you can drain the...
What's one of the first things that George Washington did as president?
I don't remember. I wasn't alive back... Well, I was, but...
He enforced the whiskey tax with violence.
Oh, yeah.
Or the threat of violence. Well, the first things he did, this country was founded because of a tax. We rebelled because of a tax, and the first thing we did was tax the people.
It was an even
That's a great idea.
Even a higher tax than the tea tax, wasn't it?
I don't even know, man. But it was whiskey, and that's a low blow.
Oh, yeah. Whiskey tax.
Especially thinking about it, if I'm a colonial, newly minted American, right? And I just went over and fought this war for a long time, getting shot at by muskets that were, the size of a 50 cal.
Yeah.
I'm going to get done fighting this war, and then you're going to tax my whiskey? Really?
Right.
Like, that's just messed up.
So back then, quick Google search shows that large producers paid the tax annually at a rate of 6 cents per gallon. And
goodness,
if you look at current tax, distilled spirits are currently subject to a 13.5% federal excise tax. So per a gallon, it's $50. We pay more taxes now than we did back then. But yet, our ancestors rebelled over whiskey taxes and tea taxes and goods and service taxes, whatever. You know what I meant. But yet we're just allowing this stuff to happen because of, we need to pay for roads. And no, we don't.
Well, they rebelled because their government was not following its own laws.
Well, not much has changed.
What's currently happening right now.
Not much has changed.
Yeah. But we do need to wrap this up.
I agree.
I would just say the whole point of this, the entire project, is to take care of people. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And
we're trying to share our experience, share our skill set, raise the standard of people so that atrocities like this don't happen anymore. So we don't have to rely on something that is tyrannical, a body of people who do not care about their people. So we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yep.
Because I truly believe that if we do what we're setting out to do, if we get people up to, that standard, that goal that we're setting, it's gonna be a whole different world.
If I only have like 2 things to say at the end of this, number 1, if you think that the government cares about you or your plight as an individual citizen, you're wrong. And number 2, Eli Dicken, good work, man. Do it again.
Yeah, good on you. Gosh, I hope he doesn't have to do it again.
I do too, but still.
I'm
glad
worst.
he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad he did too. Good for him.
Absolutely.
And I guess my parting word would be from 30 Seconds Out. No one's coming. It's up to us.
All right. Join us on the next episode. We're going to be talking about fieldcraft, fire, and water. This has been Hard Times, Strong Men.
Stay in the fight.
Bye, everybody.